Guys, and welcome to my channel, Davina's Faith. It's Davina here, and today I'm going to be discussing flesh dreams. So if you want to know what a flesh dream is, you want to hear what I have to say about flesh dreams, then stay tuned. So you guys, flesh dreams, they can be tricky. Sometimes they can be confusing. Sometimes you could feel like a flesh dream is a prophetic dream, especially if you've been feeling some type of way about something. You might want confirmation about it, about a certain person that you might feel is shady or any type of thing, and then you might have a dream concerning that, and then you might feel like that's a prophetic dream because you've been waiting for the answer or you already been feeling like this. So I'm going to go over a little bit about what a flesh dream is. Okay guys, so a flesh dream is basically a dream that comes from you. So it basically comes from your spirit man, you, your inner self, your feelings. It could come from all of that. So it could come from how you've been feeling about a certain situation or person. It could come from what you've been watching. It could come from what you've been eating. All of those things can trigger up what we call a flesh dream. If you hear a flesh dream, it doesn't necessarily mean that. I know sometimes we hear flesh, at least with me when I was a little bit younger, I would always think that flesh just meant something like, oh, you're doing something bad, but it's not necessarily, in this case, it's not necessarily something that you're doing bad or you're doing something sinful or sexual. It doesn't mean that. It just means that it's coming from you, like yourself. It's like your flesh. Just like if somebody started prophesying what we call out of the flesh, it would mean something like that. It's just coming from you, how you feel about a certain situation. Like I said, somebody was like prophesying out the flesh. They're not prophesying out of what God is saying to them, or they're not using their mouthpiece for God during that time. They're just speaking out of how they feel or what they want to happen. So they might prophesy a word to somebody about a car or about money because they want that to happen, or they just feel like it'll be good or beneficial for that person. It may have not necessarily been from God. So that's basically what flesh is. When we talk about flesh, it's just basically something from yourself, how you've been feeling, what you think. And in other cases, when it comes to dreams, you can also have a dream from eating certain foods at night, and also watching certain things on TV at night, or just watching certain things. So you could watch a scary movie, or you could watch a movie that isn't good for you, something that you used to struggle with in your past, that you've been delivered from or that you're getting delivered from, and then you start watching it again, and that being in your spirit, that could turn up in your dreams too. So I'm going to go over some different things, some different scenarios on includes onto what a flesh dream can be. The first one is it doesn't make sense. So a lot of times when you have a flesh dream, the dream doesn't make sense. So you have like a really weird or silly dream where things just don't make sense when you wake up. You're just having a dream that you might wake up and then you reflect on it, and then as you just put everything together, you just notice that it doesn't make sense. Maybe you seen a bunny hopping down the street doing hopscotch. That doesn't make any sense, right? But a lot of people might just go into deep thought and like, okay, I saw a bunny. What does bunnies mean? Oh, he was doing this. That means that a bunny is going to attack me one day, or somebody is going to be like sneaky like a bunny and attack me. No, no, no. Sometimes it's not all that. Sometimes it's not all that deep. It's just that you have a weird dream that doesn't make any sense, which would then, in turn, which would then mean that you have flesh dream. Another way to know that you have flesh dream is if you see like yellow elements. I know this is kind of weird, and when I first started learning about dreams and flesh dreams, I was like, how would yellow, you just automatically know that yellow would mean a flesh dream. But it is very true because when I had a dream, it was partly prophetic, and I can't tell you this dream. It's personal to me, but it was a dream that I had that was partly prophetic and partly flesh. And the part that came into flesh, it had yellow in it. And when I reflect on the dream, I knew that that was my flesh because that's how I felt about the person. So in the dream, I saw all these great qualities about them, but in the dream, I remember in my mind in the dream, I was thinking like, oh well, they probably only gonna have this because they during that time with this person, I felt like they were like too shy, you know. So I was like, they probably only gonna have this or whatever. And then God showed me, He just showed me this person having so much greatness. They having so many great things, and they had way more than what I thought they had. And part of it, I saw like a yellow, just like a yellow rope, and the yellow rope had represent cowardice. So the yellow can represent flesh, it can represent cowardice and a few other things. So yeah, for my dream, it did represent cowardice because I felt like the person was just like shy, and I was thinking like, oh, maybe that person, you know, wouldn't like stand up in a certain situation because of them being shy. Like they'll be like, I won't say coward, but like more on that side. Like they'll be too shy to stand up for something or something like that during that time. But God showed me that that person was way more than that, and they wasn't necessarily that. They were shy, but they had all this going on for themselves, and they was going to have all that. And God showed me that in the dream. And then my thoughts that I felt in real life was this was playing out in the dream, so I could hear myself thinking in the dream, and that's really how I thought in real life about that situation. And I saw the yellow rope. So yellow, if you see yellow elements, that can represent some flesh, and it could also represent a little fear too. I know one of my sisters, she had a dream with yellow in it. The walls were yellow, and then something was going on with me and my other sister, but I knew that that was a fear. Well, it was a flesh dream. That's kind of how she kind of sees us. Well, at least that was kind of how she saw us during that time. I'm not going to say what the dream was, but that was kind of how she saw me and my other sister during that time. We're kind of similar in certain ways, so she kind of saw us as that type of person, and it ended up popping up in her dream, and she became fearful, thinking that something bad was going to happen to us, but it wasn't. It was just that she kind of seen us as people in the way that she dreamed, like um, they're not seeing things a certain way that she sees it, basically. So yeah, a lot of times when you have a flesh dream, you can see yellow elements. If you feel a certain way about a person and you've been feeling like this for a while and you've been thinking about it over and over again, chances are that this will display in your dream if you're a dreamer. Even if you're not really a dreamer, it could still show up in your dream. So if you feel like somebody is like a really bad person, that can show up in your dream. If you have fears of somebody doing something bad to you, sometimes that could pop up in your dream. So it could be a mixture of fear and flesh. So it's just about how you feel about that person. If you just don't like a person and you feel like they're just a backstabber to you, but they never really did anything to you, and then that pops up in your dream, that could be because of your flesh and your fear. Sometimes you might have a suspicion about a person, and then something about that person's colors can come up in your dreams, and it can be prophetic for God to confirm to you. Like you may have been praying about it, like God, is this person like this, and then God will show you. Just kind of like the dream scenario that I gave you guys in my last video when I talked about self-conditioned dreams, and the guy that I was dating, I was kind of thinking about him, and I was kind of skeptical about him, and then I eventually had a prophetic dream about him. It was both prophetic and self-conditioned. I basically had a dream about him where he was seeing someone else. That wasn't necessarily a flesh dream. That was God showing me and confirming to me that he was seeing someone else. But it could be kind of tricky. It just depends on how you see that person. If you see them just in a negative light, I didn't see him in a negative light. I see him as a good person, as a potential husband. But I did have some reservations about him, and God has showed me that. But sometimes if we just see people all in a negative light, that could pop up in our dreams because it's just how we feel. Sometimes if you think about something over and over again, playing it in your head, it could just show up in your dreams because that's mainly what you're thinking about. That's what do they say about dreams? As far as psychology goes, outside of the biblical, it's true for that part. Your psyche, like if you're replaying something over and over in your mind, it'll show up in your dreams. So a lot of times your dreams are a reflection of you and of like, you know, just your insides. I can't think of the right wording, but sometimes it does happen. Like you'll be thinking about something, like I said, sorry to keep repeating myself, but sometimes you'll be thinking something over and over again, and then it'll just pop up in your dreams. So not all the time that you have a negative dream about somebody doesn't mean that God's showing you that it's true about the person, or that it's really about, that it's from God. It's just a lot of times it could be from you. So you want to think about that. Are you, before you go ahead and say that it's God confirming something to you, um, if you want to know if it's your flesh or if it's prophetic from God, you want to think about, have you been repeating this in your head over and over again? Do you just overall think negative about this person, or you just overall fearful about the situation? And then, you could assess that, and then you could pray about it. Another way that you can know that you may be having a flesh dream is that, like I said earlier too, you ate something kind of bad before you went to bed. Now, this doesn't really happen to me. Food, in my opinion, doesn't really affect my dreams, but it does affect some people's dreams. This kind of goes hand in hand with psychology. So this isn't biblical, but some things in psychology are pretty true, and I do like psychology too. I said if I would ever go back to school, I would study psychology again, because I did really enjoy psychology and learning those things, and I love learning about different people and people's personalities. I love watching documentaries, and I also love watching and listening to biographies. So I have an inquisitive mind, so I like to find out about people. So I did say if I ever go back to school that I would study psychology, because I did have a really good time in my psychology class. I really, really love to learn about people. Not a nosy person, and I don't gossip, but I do like to learn about people. It's kind of weird. Some things in psychology are as true about our brains and dreaming. I don't agree with everything, but I do agree with some things. And if you were eating something, bad for you before you go to bed, it can affect your dream. So maybe if you had a weird dream, it could be because you ate certain food, like you had greasy pizza or a greasy burger, and then something weird ended up in your dreams. A clue to know that you had a flesh dream is that you watched something bad on TV before you went to bed. So you could have watched a scary movie, or you could have watched something that's not good for your spirit, like something that has a lot of curses. If you're sensitive to a lot of like people cursing and using profanity, that can mess you up, because you just can't deal with that. Or you see like something that has a lot of sex in it, you can't watch stuff that has sex. You shouldn't watch pornography anyway, but maybe it wasn't pornography, it was just something that had like sensual sex scenes in it, and your spirit isn't strong enough to handle that was something that you got delivered from. That can affect your dream life too, over time. So if you're continuously doing that before you go to bed, or just in general, that can affect your dream life, and that can make you have flesh dreams and even spiritual attacks too, if it's something that you used to deal with. So that can affect your dream life. If you're watching like scary movies before you go to bed, and then you end up having Freddy Krueger chase you in your dream, it will more than likely be a flesh dream, because you watched that before you went to bed. It had a toll on you. You thought about it before you went to sleep. You may have felt a little fear, and then that ended up being in your dreams. Another clue that you may have had a flesh dream is that when you wake up, you cannot remember your dream. So, yeah, that's another way to know that you may have had a flesh dream. It just wasn't anything important. Kind of knew that you dreamed, but or you may have not even know if you dreamed or not, but you can't remember anything when you wake up. That's another clue that you might have had a flesh dream. Now, on the flip side, sometimes you had a dream and you knew you had a dream, and then you can't remember it when you wake up. A lot of times that is God concealing the dream from you, like He doesn't want you. He may not want you to know it right now or remember it right now, because it has something to do with the future. So sometimes that can happen to you, and that'll be a prophetic dream. But sometimes you may not remember your dream if it is a flesh dream, because a flesh dream isn't important. It has no significance to you. It's just part of your flesh. It's just something weird, or it's something about how you feel. It just has no significant, no benefit for you Now, if you're noticing that you're having a flesh dream where it's something about how you feel about somebody, then it can benefit you in a way to know that you need to pray about a certain situation and ask God to help heal you from a situation, maybe to help you to stop thinking about a certain person in a certain light, or even if it is true about them, to just not have that going on in your head. That's how it could be beneficial for you. But other than that, it's not really beneficial for you to have a flesh dream. So a lot of times when you do have flesh dreams, you may not even remember the dream when you wake up. So you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it was beneficial to you. I hope it was helpful to you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any more tips to go along with what I said, it's fine. You can leave it down in the comments down below. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe and do not forget to give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. It really helps my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.